Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 5 is over, but we're just getting started here on Game of Thrones Live on postshowrecaps.com. And now, here are the two guys who probably will never end up killing the boy inside of us. I'm Rob Cesternino, here's Josh Wigler. Josh, how are you?
I'm doing well. Happy Misa Day in House Cesternino.
Happy Misa Day. Yes. Oh, what a day. I took the Misa to brunch today.
Nice.
Yes. Oh, they had high chairs for the dragons. It was fantastic, Josh.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good Misa Day. Pretty decent Misa Day on Game of Thrones itself.
Yes, lots of stuff going on, of course, in the north, over in Marine. We had some dragons, we had stone men, some stoners, so everything was...
just getting faded, these psychos.
Bunch of psychos getting faded, getting stoned, and so much more to do. No wine, though, unfortunately.
No wine. What kind of a road trip is it without some wine?
You need some wine. Anyway, so we are here. No wine for us, but help yourselves to as much as you want because we have a lot to get through here on our Game of Thrones recap. We are live here Sunday night, May 10th. Just finished watching the episode, and we got a lot to talk about with you guys here live. Got the chat room open on postshowrecaps.com. We're also taking your tweets, hashtag PSRecaps, and also on our YouTube channel where you can see every episode of the show at postshowrecaps.com/YouTube. Josh.
Yes, that sounds fantastic. Really big episode tonight. This was pretty good. This is pretty good. Kill the boy. And I think only really 4 distinct storylines happening tonight on this episode, but all 4 of them were super interesting to me. The fallout of Barristan the Bold's demise and Meereen, getting to see Lord Commander Snow make some controversial decisions. I think that was really great. Stannis deciding now is the time to march on Winterfell, the big Reek and Sansa reunion in Winterfell, and of course everything with Jorah and Tyrion. So huge episode, lots to unpack. So let's just dive into it.
We're skipping over the big news.
What's the big news?
Getting married.
Dany's getting married. Oh my God!
Congratulations.
Yeah, Dario, I'm sure, is thrilled about this.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Also, I'm sure Jorah is going to. What do you think is worse news for Jorah? Contracting grayscale or Dany being engaged?
Probably the engagement.
You think so?
Probably.
That's it.
Well, what do you? That would seem pretty rash that Dany's going to get married to somebody.
Yeah, interesting decision. That's her solution to peace. Is she's going to marry this dingus?
Yeah, that guy sucks.
Hizdar Zodingus?
I don't know about that. All right, where do you want to start tonight, Josh?
Well, we're on that topic. Do you want to start with Meereen, or do you think that there are bigger headlines?
I guess we should start with Ser Jorah and the grayscale and the stone men. Josh, could you just maybe talk us through? There was a lot of exposition going on in the last 5 to 10 minutes of the episode about where they were. They were in Old Valyria.
Valyria.
Explaining the Doom, but then I just didn't understand what were they going through, like a canal through Valyria? Is that a shortcut to Marine?
So Valyria this is very exciting stuff. Again, we're talking about how Game of Thrones has been playing around with the books this season and either changing things up or just doing things that the books haven't done. A version of what we see tonight with the Tyrion and Jorah story happens in the books, but it certainly doesn't take place in Old Valyria. That's a place that is talked about a lot, but we haven't really seen. So that was very exciting from that perspective. But Old Valyria is, as they're talking about on the boat, a long time ago, thousands of years ago, it was basically the seat of power in the world. This is where men were creating great empires and working with magic, and dragons were in the mix. And these are the people that the Targaryens are descended from. And there's this great event called the Doom of Valyria that's largely unexplained exactly what happened, but in an instant, this vast empire, the Valyrian Empire, disappears. It gets destroyed. It becomes, a shell of itself. It apparently becomes what we see here tonight on Game of Thrones. It's a ruin. So that's what they're sailing through. That's a really exciting thing for fans of the books to see, and hopefully for fans of the show. This place is a huge place in history, and I think it's funny, Tyrion and Jorah, it seems, before the big attack, they're kind of bonding over the historical significance of the fact that they are in Valyria. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, but were they taking a shortcut through there?
Yeah, so they're going through their. I'd have to study the map of the world of ice and fire. That's not something I did tonight before we got on the air. But I would assume that is a shortcut to get to Meereen from where they were, which was Volantis. And the reason that Jorah gives is that pirates are afraid to go through here. They don't want to encounter any pirates. Pirates.
And so the stone men, they send, if you have grayscale, this is where they send you?
Right. So this is something that's interesting. They've been setting this up in the previous episodes. I think of the past 5 episodes of Game of Thrones, grayscale has now come up 4 times, at least, if not more. You know, we've seen a lot of it with Shireen. We saw even Tyrion talking to Varys about the stone men. That's what the Red Priestess in Volantis was talking about. And yeah, this is apparently where the stone men get sent. People who come down with grayscale, really wickedly bad case of grayscale, they get sent off to old Valyria, and they lose their minds. They go crazy, and they become the types of people that we saw tonight at the end of the episode.
Okay, and so it's not fatal, you just go crazy?
I do believe it's fatal. I believe that it's fatal, but the problem is it takes a long time it can take a long time to kill you. It doesn't always. Sometimes it can happen fast, but I think that it's not exactly like a walker bite on The Walking Dead or something like that. It's going to kill you slower than that for sure.
Okay, so if they touch you just on your skin, so like Tyrion, like we saw one of them like pulling him down into the water, but he was pulling him on his pants leg, he's fine?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, we assume that he's fine. The focus was on Jorah at the end of the episode, who we know has come down with it. We don't really see Tyrion, but that sounds like a valid reason to me. It's just a pant leg versus, if this one of these stone men grabbed Jorah on the hand. That seems like it would make a difference.
Is Jorah contagious now at this point, or does he have to become completely a stone man before he can start spreading this? Is he just a carrier?
Yeah, I don't know what the rules of this are. It's something that I definitely plan on looking into a little deeper when we get off the line here tonight. But I don't know. I mean, it could be bad.
Drink out of his glass. Will you get the?
I think the policy for now would be to don't touch him if you can avoid it. I think that would probably be good, but it might just be early enough stages that he's okay. But listen, I can promise you that grayscale will be a huge topic in the feedback and book club shows later this week.
Okay.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. What's going on here? Poor Jorah.
What kind of prognosis is this? Is he going to be like a stone man in a week? Does he have a year? Does he have 5
who
years?
knows? Look, I mean, it's worked out for Shireen. Shireen lives with grayscale. Obviously, she's doing okay. She's alive. She's had it for a long time. She was basically a baby when she got it, and she's definitely more than a baby these days. So it could work out for Jorah. Maybe it won't. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will. Who knows? We'll have to see.
All right, that's an ongoing story. The dragon that they saw, that was Drogon?
That was Drogon. Yeah.
Okay.
Tyrion seeing a dragon, he was very excited about this.
He was very excited about that. Isn't Drogon a long way from Meereen?
Let's just say that Drogon really dropped the ball on Misa Day.
Yeah, he really did.
He really screwed up. He screwed up big. Yeah, he's a little ways from Meereen, but he is a dragon, and dragons can go fast, and we don't know how long it's been since that night that he saw Dany in Meereen. So, could make sense. And if a dragon could get from Meereen to Old Valyria that quickly, maybe that's a good sign for other distances a dragon could travel swiftly. That would be nice.
Okay. Now, we saw the other dragons in action tonight. We saw Dany. Again, this theme of executions continues on for the 5th straight episode this season, where we saw Dany take one of the heads of one of the great houses of Meereen and let them be eaten and ripped apart and burned by the dragons.
That was amazing.
That was pretty good.
That was fantastic. That was, I mean, that was her Misa Day present to all of us.
It was very badass. That was very badass.
It was super cool, and just like her whole speech about it beforehand is like, oh, my dragons, if I tell them to eat you, they will. They'll probably eat you anyway, even if I don't tell them to eat you. And sure enough, they ate that guy. They were pretty controlled about it. Good manners.
Yeah. Well, a good mother never gives up on her children. That was very appropriate for Misa Day.
Do you think that this episode was written with Mother's Day in mind? Because I feel like it was a really Mother's Day heavy episode.
Well, not a big Cersei episode.
Well, maybe that was her gift. Whenever she is around and her children are involved, especially lately, it hasn't been great. So maybe that is her gift. She gets the night off.
No, I don't think that they intentionally did that, but there's a lot of shades of moms that we can always find in Game of Thrones.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what do you think of what Dany is up to in Meereen right now? By the end of the episode, is gonna be making some interesting calls.
Yeah, it's Dany and Meereen, and I did like the scene that we saw later on with Maester Aemon talking about like getting the scroll for like the headlines of what's going on with Daenerys, about how she's not going to leave until she fixes everything that's going on in Meereen, but she's really in a quagmire here.
Yeah, like giggity gee quagmire or what?
Giggity, get out of there.
Giggity, get out of Meereen, you idiot. Sure, fair enough. But we can't hate on Dany being betrothed. This is great news for her, right? This is inarguably fantastic romantic news.
I mean, it's okay news.
Not great.
I mean, I think that Dario is going to be very upset about this. Ultimately, we get the decision from Dany tonight that she's going to reopen the fighting pits for the free men. I think we're okay with this. I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, I think that maybe being so resistant to this idea in the first place was what caused a lot of these problems that we've been seeing that may have really contributed to Barristan's death. This big uprising in the streets. That being said, like it's still this kind of like, should she not be negotiating with terrorists here? I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know how this is going to ultimately get better. Like, you still have those Sons of the Harpies out there. That she's going to marry one of these guys. Is that everybody's going to be okay now?
Riding through Meereen. Yeah, I think that these are valid concerns. Sons of the Harpy remain a factor. Will marrying Hizdahr Zalorak change anything? Will murdering one of the heads of one of these great houses with your dragons, is that really going to sit well with people? I think that Dany is hoping that these decisions, scaring the great masters, marrying one of them, reopening the fighting pits. I think that she thinks that these are going to be the solutions that Meereen needs. This is Game of Thrones. I think it's going to end up being a bit more complicated than that.
Dany, she is the Khaleesi that Meereen needs.
Indeed, yeah.
What did you think of Missandei and Grey Worm? We get to see two scenes with them tonight. We were concerned whether or not Grey Worm was going to make it. We see that Grey Worm is going to survive.
Yeah, he's going to make it. And he's listen, he put it out there. He said, "Hey, I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of never seeing Missandei again."
Yeah, a little cold water on the Sam and Gilly are the hottest couple on Game of Thrones chatter.
Well, they could still keep the title in Westeros, right? Can we give them something here, please? Come on.
What do you want, Sam and Gilly or Grey Worm and Missandei?
I don't know. I mean, at least Sam, Sam has things that Grey Worm does not.
I guess so. Do you want to? Have we given a celebrity couple name to Grey Worm and Missandei yet?
I feel like we may have during the Throners, but I can't recall what that was. Do you have any suggestions off the top of your head, or should we turn this over to the crowd?
We could go Grey Sondé. Missand Worm.
Worm Sondé.
Worm Sondé.
Yeah.
Grey Sondé.
Grey Sondé. We can call it Grey Sondé for now.
Yeah. Okay.
I would eat a Grey Sundae.
Well,
that could be good.
Grey Sundae.
Yeah.
What's in a Grey Sundae?
I don't know. Pillars and stones.
Really? And that's what you'd eat?
They're like cookies. They're like wafers.
Pillars and cones? Is that
Pillars and cones. That's a great name for a business.
That'll be our Game of Thrones Ben and Jerry's flavor.
I like it. Yes, that's good.
Okay. All right. So then, as far as Meereen goes, is there anything else that you want to talk about here?
Just pour one out for Barry the Bold, officially dead, confirmed dead. Very sad. Do you think that enough business was paid to Barristan the Bold no longer being on the show? Do you think that there was enough respect paid to him?
It was fine. That I mean, if you and I were going to do the Game of Thrones power rankings coming into this season,
Yeah.
of the top 40 characters on Game of Thrones, I think Barristan the Bald would probably be somewhere between 31 and 40.
Okay. That's what you think.
I think we paid appropriate respects to a character just outside of the top 30 in power rankings of characters we care about on Game of Thrones.
This seems like a challenge. This seems like something we're going to do at some point down the line.
I think it would be fine.
It might be.
It would be a great show.
Yes,
We would rank the characters we care about. Like, who would be number one? Is Tyrion one?
Tyrion is probably pretty close to number one, if not.
I mean, maybe Sir Barristan would probably, in reality, probably would end up in the 21 to 30.
Yeah. This is a very it's a difficult thing. We can't do this spontaneously on a Sunday night. We got to plan this through.
Yes. Okay. So let's go around to some of the other areas with some more intrigue. Let's go to the north. You want to start with the Wall and then go to Winterfell?
Yeah, let's start with the Wall and then we'll go down to Winterfell.
Okay. All right. Well, we start in the Wall. We see a lot of stuff with Sam, with Maester Aemon, talking about first about the Targaryens, which then we are learning about Maester Aemon's failing health. He's a 100-year-old man.
He looks pretty good for 100 years old.
Yeah. Looking pretty good.
I mean, for 100 years old, he's still talking. He still seems to have his wits about him. Eyesight could use some work, perhaps.
Yeah.
But, all things considered, he's doing quite well.
Jon Snow sits down with Maester Aemon and tells him that he needs to kill the boy. And I was like, oh, that kid, the Fens killed his parents? Like,
yeah.
why does he have to do that?
Yeah, Maester Aemon's like, kill that boy, Ollie. He's a schmuck.
Kill Ollie.
He's a schmuck.
No, but he has to kill the boy and let the man be born. Is this like a bar mitzvah for Jon Snow?
Yeah, a snow mitzvah. Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to learn his Haftorah and all of these things. There's a lot of stuff that he's going to have to do if he's going to get bar mitzvah. It's not just as easy as showing up and dancing.
What about a Stark mitzvah?
A Stark mitzvah?
Is that what we need to do?
Yeah, we need to have a Stark mitzvah for everybody in the North. That would be fun. I would like to go to that.
Mazel tov, John. We've killed the boy. You're now a man.
You are now a man. Yeah, no, that'd be a great party. I'd have a good time. I feel like actually maybe a Stark mitzvah might be fairly depressing.
Yeah, it could probably not end well.
It probably would not end well. I feel like, if you put the Starks in charge of like a bris, I feel like that could go pretty well. They've got like a clean chop, but a Stark mitzvah might be just a little bit of a grim affair.
Yeah, the person who dishes out the bris,
the Manischewitz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So then we'll see that Jon Snow is thinking about what to do, and we end up having a meeting of the minds between Jon Snow and Tormund Giantsbane.
Yeah, and he's trying to give him basically the same cell that he was giving to Mance, at least as far as like we need to join forces here. We need to work together on this. And Jon's whole plan right now is he wants wildling support because he knows winter is almost here. Winter almost being here means White Walkers are on the way. We've seen them. We believe in them at this point. But the Night's Watch, at least half of them, as he tells Aemon, are not going to be thrilled about this. To the point that Jon's closest friends and allies on the Watch do not seem excited about this plan to invite the wildlings along for the party. And, even Tormund Giantsbane ends up being on board, but with, stipulations. He's going to go north of the Wall and try and bring people back, but Jon has to go with him, all of this stuff. So Jon is putting a lot of legwork into this plan, and a lot of people don't seem to love it. What do you think? Do you like this plan for Jon? Do you think Jon's making sense?
I think he's making some sense. Could you explain to me exactly what Jon is doing in the boats?
What Jon is doing in the boats?
Yes, that he's going to he's taking the free folk out in the boats.
Yeah.
And where are they going?
They're sailing. They said they're sailing to this place called Hardhome, which is the name of an episode coming up in the future of Game of Thrones, and it is also a location that is north of the Wall, and that is where Tormund Giantsbane says a bunch of his people are hanging out. So Tormund wants Jon to sail with him to bring the boats to bring a bunch of these wildlings back, and to do it fairly quickly because they all seem to feel like time is a factor.
And are they going to go meet up with Stannis and be part of like the cavalry that comes to the Winterfell operation?
No, the Night's Watch so far at least seems like they're staying out of that. Jon and Stannis, have had this talk, and Jon has basically said like we're staying out of the affairs of the political nonsense. That's not our role. He's taking Stannis' ships, and Stannis is saying like I'm going to need those ships, so make sure that they get back here in one piece. Two pieces because there's two ships.
I mean, Stannis is in the midst of like this major operation. What does he need to give these ships to Jon Snow?
I don't know. He's crushing on Jon Snow, man.
I guess so, because
he loves Jon Snow.
What the wildlings are going to be doing has nothing to do with Stannis' quest for the Iron Throne, correct?
Yeah, that would be correct. Although I mean, Stannis.
In the middle of a war.
Yeah,
in the middle of a war. He's like, hey, can I borrow all your ships?
Well, he doesn't say all of your ships.
A bunch of your ships?
Yeah, let me get a couple of your ships, a pair of your ships. Stannis is the guy who wanted those wildlings to begin with. He's the guy who wanted Mance Rayder to bend the knee and have Mance and his wildlings work for Stannis and march on Winterfell. So having Jon's plan pay off, having these wildlings come south of the wall could potentially work out for Stannis at some point down the line. At least there's more people that he could lean on.
Okay. So, yeah, Jon is not winning any popularity contests with these plans, and everybody, even his best friends, are shooting this down. They killed Gren. They killed Pip.
Rob, let me ask you. You've found yourself at certain points in your past probably having to sell improbable ideas to people who would be reluctant to buy your ideas. You have played games like this before. If you're in Jon's shoes and you have an idea that's going to be unpopular, but you really want it to work out, how should he have tried to sell this information?
Yeah, I don't think he did a good job of selling his big picture view of why they need to do this. He's an agent of change. He's saying that, but we've fought with them for hundreds and thousands of years. He's like, until now.
Right.
But now we're not.
Now we're not, guys. Now everything's cool.
But he didn't really sell the big picture of because if we do this, then we'll do this, and this will be better.
Right.
He's just like, yeah, but that's enough.
Yeah, people don't seem to be. It's not enough. If he can't sell Dolorous Ed on this, then that's bad because Ed should be on his team. Ed even says like, I would follow you anywhere, man. I love you, bro. This is too far. Too far.
Yeah. He's sort of like, yeah, but I have a friend who was a wildling.
Yeah, she was
cool.
She was kissed by fire. I loved her. But it's not working out. Not working out so far. So he's got some further politicking to do.
All right. We see also Jon with Ollie.
Yes, we do see Jon with Ollie.
And Ollie is like, I get it. I get what you're doing. Look, okay, good plan. You're gonna get all the wildlings to go one way, and then it's gonna be a trick, and then you're gonna kill them. I got you. I got this.
Great plan.
Great plan.
Love the plan. How can I help?
He's like, no, that is not the plan.
Ollie, bad news for you, man. That's not what I'm doing.
Yeah, back off, Ollie. That is not the plan.
Bad plan. And then Ollie does not seem to be pleased that he got this wrong. He's like, I could have sworn I really thought this was your plan.
Yeah, hey Ollie, winter is coming.
Yeah. Is that good enough for you? Is that a conversation ender? Like that ends an argument? Winter's coming. It's kind of like, it's a fair point.
But again, I go back to, well, how does this benefit the Night's Watch or the North to have all these wildlings on the other side of the wall once winter is coming?
Well, I think his point that he maybe doesn't articulate well enough, but he does touch on it, is we have seen, what happens north of the wall with dead bodies. The Night's Watch was under heavy attack, at the Fist of the First Men. We saw all these White Walkers come. We know, we've seen reanimated bodies, all of this terrible, terrible stuff. If we let the wildlings get killed up there, they are just going to add to the number of the undead that are inevitably marching upon us and everybody else. So let's get those wildlings. Let's bring them south here. Let's try and work together as bad as they are, they cannot possibly be worse than ice-cold zombies that want to destroy us all.
Yeah, I mean, if that's his point, then he certainly did not do a good job of making that point.
He really should have argued that point probably harder. He should have brought that up a bit. But nobody's really into it because there's this, really ancient, super long rivalry between the members of the Watch and the wildlings north of the Wall. You can't just heal that rift in a day, especially, days, maybe weeks after this, epic attack on the Wall from, season 4. There's a lot of blood that's bad blood between these two people, so it's going to take some work. They'll take some work, but on paper, what John is thinking makes sense. But as far as articulating it, he probably needs to. I don't know. He needs to work on that.
Okay, well, let's go to Winterfell. Unless there's anything else that you want to touch on here. Okay.
Well, do you like Stannis crushing on Samwell Tarly now? He's like really getting into all of our favorite people to watch.
Well, there was a lot of stuff tonight about, Sam always wanted to be a maester.
Yeah.
We talked about there's all these, there's all these books at the Citadel and the maesters. That's where they go to learn. And Stannis charges Sam with learning everything that he can. So a lot of stuff about Sam and being a wealth of information.
Yeah. Keep reading, Sam.
I
also like how Stannis is like, you don't look like a warrior. What a dick.
Yeah, it looked like Sam also was going to be in trouble when Stannis said, oh, you're
Randall Tarley's kid. Randall Tarley, that guy is a terrible person. I don't like Randall Tarley. Good soldier.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not my father. I'm a much nicer man.
Yeah, I don't like him either.
I don't like him very much as well. I like you quite a bit more.
Yeah, so Stannis, he likes Sam Tarly. All right, who doesn't? Let's go to talk about everything going on at Winterfell. And we see a lot of stuff going on here tonight. And we start off with Brienne and Pod.
Brienne and Pod, yeah, they're not quite at Winterfell yet.
They're undercover.
But they're undercover. Undercover Brienne, undercover Pod. They are looking for a way into Winterfell, and it seems like they make some inroads with one of the locals who has ties to Winterfell. And they spill the beans that Sansa Stark is inside Winterfell. It's not just Bolton's in there. And Brienne is saying, look, I knew Catelyn Stark. I still serve Catelyn Stark, even though Catelyn Stark is no longer dead, or is no longer alive, rather. I believe, unfortunately, she is still very dead, much to the chagrin of many people. But she says all this. She lays this out, and the guy seems to be like, I like this. I like you. Let's see what we can work out.
Okay. So we then go and see anything, and they want to get a message to Sansa.
She wants to get a message to Sansa. I mean, ultimately, her goal is to save Sansa Stark. Sansa doesn't seem, at least yet, and certainly in the one interaction that we've seen between Sansa and Brienne, doesn't seem to want Brienne's help, but Brienne wants to help out.
Later on, when Sansa gets the message of, hey, light the candle if you're in trouble, is that related to Brienne? Is Brienne the help that's coming if she lights the candle?
Perhaps, mayhaps, but the woman who says the North remembers, we saw her,
in the first episode.
We saw her
the first time Sansa was there.
Yeah, we saw her back when Sansa first came to Winterfell, so this might just be stuff that predates Brienne's involvement. Not definitive yet, either way.
Okay, so we also then get to see the second thing that we see at Winterfell, Roose Bolton and his girlfriend, Miranda.
Yeah, Miranda. Ramsay Bolton.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Miranda. I'm sorry. Not Miranda Bolton. Ramsay Bolton with Miranda. Finally, Miranda has come back to 9 o'clock on HBO.
Yes, she's back.
Finally.
Man. I gotta admit, I was never a Miranda man.
Yes, well, she's not much of a Miranda, this one. And she is pissed because Ramsay Bolton is getting married.
Getting married, does not like it. Does not like Sansa. We talked about this on the feedback show a few weeks ago. Like, should we be worried about Miranda versus Sansa? Should Sansa be worried? We kind of didn't pay it much mind, Rob, but I think we got to eat some crow.
Sure.
Which they're going to serve at the Stark Mitzvah.
Wow, because yeah, we hadn't seen anything about this. I figured if something was gonna happen, they'd show it. But boy, now we started to show it, and then I'm like, is Ramsay Bolton gonna kill her? And then I'm like, oh, is she gonna kill him? Boy,
She's gonna
and
bite his face off. That was kind of
bite
horrible.
his face off, and then but jealousy bores him.
Jealousy bores him, but lip biting does not.
That does not. He likes that.
He likes
And,
it. Draw some blood. That's the way to get Ramsay Bolton going.
and then he told her not to do anything with Sansa. He basically said, just stop, drop this. But then we see Sansa, and that was a terrifying scene with Sansa and the dogs. She's the kennel master's daughter.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's very difficult to find somebody who likes Sansa Stark more than me. I love Sansa Stark. Big fan of Sansa Stark. I'm a fansa for sure. Gotta say, Rob, you hear these terrifying dogs barking down this very scary dark corridor. This woman who you've never met before is telling you to go down there, and there's a great surprise that's going to remind you of your mom. I know it's Misa Day and everything, but that's probably not enough to get me to go down the dark corridor with all the barking dogs, and I think Sansa loses some points. I think that was a stupid thing that she did.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
It could have ended up a lot worse. But I mean, we remember these dogs.
The North remembers them too.
The North recalls the dogs, but we remember these dogs. We saw these dogs last season. We've seen Ramsay hunting with these dogs before. So this potentially could have been horrible news. The fact that it's just a smelly reek at the end of the hall is a pretty good outcome considering where this could have gone.
I mean, what was Miranda's end game here to show her reek? Just to make her upset? Was that what was going on?
Freak her out. Freak her with reek.
Reek her out.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what she's trying to do. I think she's trying to be like, hey, remember this time when you are, banging going to be banging my boyfriend? You're going to marry this guy. I don't like you very much. And, hey, by the way, here is the guy that murdered your brothers. Go see him. That's gonna freak you out. I think that's what she wants to do.
Okay, this of course comes after Sansa gets the news about light the candle in the highest tower. That tower is the same tower that Bran fell from, right?
That would be correct.
Oh boy. Okay. Worse things have happened in that tower, though, right?
What's the worst thing that's happened there?
A brother and sister had sex.
That was pretty bad.
That was bad. Okay.
That was gross.
So Theon and Reek, and it looks like Reek was really going to get in trouble.
Yeah, I was very worried when Reek is like kneeling before Ramsay and he's got his hand and everything.
So many things could have happened.
There were a lot of things that could have happened, and I am very glad did not happen.
Okay. So did Ramsay Bolton know about that Miranda was the person that set up Sansa and Reek?
If so, we didn't really see that. That's TBD. I didn't get the sense that he figured that out.
Okay. But we think he would have been pissed if he did?
Don't think he would have been psyched.
Okay.
I don't think he would have loved it, no.
So Ramsay Bolton ultimately forgives Reek. And then we end up seeing the big dinner scene.
Right, with Ramsay and his fiancée and Roose with his wife, with Walda Frey. And it's an awkward dinner. This is an awkward family dinner. I would hate to be at this dinner. This would be the worst.
Yeah, it was a very awkward. I think I missed up until this point that Roose Bolton's wife is named Walda Frey.
Yeah, Walda. Yeah, there's a lot of Walders and Waldas in the Frey.
Yeah, Walda Frey is like George Foreman.
Yeah, just naming them all after himself. Yeah, Walda Frey. But Walda Frey got some great news tonight.
Yes, she is with child.
Yeah, happy Misa Day to Walda Frey.
Yes, happy day, happy day. The scene that comes later with Ramsay Bolton, that was very funny, but also horrible.
So horrible, very horrible. Ramsay and Roose are both terrible people, horrible people.
She's pregnant. He's like, well, how do you know?
Yeah, like how could you tell?
Because he's like, because she's.
Yeah, he's horrible. Ramsay
really terrible.
They're really terrible. I mean, it's kind of interesting that we're delving so deep into the Boltons this season. Now that Joffrey is dead and Tywin is dead, I feel like we had Ramsay kind of stepping up to be the new Joffrey, and now it seems like we kind of have Roose stepping in to be sort of the new Tywin, and it kind of puts in perspective that at least like at least we weren't hearing from Tywin Lannister, who, is, in fairness, a murderer and a man who caused a really horrible event at the Red Wedding and other events that we've heard before. But at least, like, the way that Roose describes how Ramsay came into this world and what he did to her mother and all of this terrible stuff, it really makes you, like, take another look at Tywin Lannister and be like, that guy wasn't so bad. That guy was all right.
We're really saying Tywin Lannister wasn't that bad? We're walking that back?
I think stacked against Roose Bolton. I think Roose Bolton is much worse than Tywin Lannister.
I guess so.
Less powerful and just nastier.
What's Tywin Lannister's opinion on leeches?
Probably not a fan. I don't think so.
Okay.
Roose Bolton loves leeches.
So when we get Reek in the mix here, we see that Ramsay is trying to reunite them or reunite them.
Yeah, so I'm kind of struggling with this myself. Like, I'm trying to figure out if this is Ramsay trying to get under Sansa and Reek's skin, sort of like what Miranda was doing.
To flay them?
To begin with. He would love to flay them. Like, is he trying to, like, emotionally flay these two? Or is Ramsay just, like, this terrible and this dense and doesn't realize that what he's doing is actually horrible?
Yeah, I don't know.
And
what is it about Sansa that has these people just wanting to terrorize her?
It's horrible. Sansa really attracts some killer dudes.
She really does. I don't know what vibes she's putting out there to have these, one guy after the next.
She should be working on that.
Like, she really should be.
Let's try not to do that.
So Ramsay ultimately wants Reek to give Sansa away at the wedding.
Yeah. He says he's like basically the closest thing you have to family, so he's gonna give you away. Isn't that gonna be great? And everyone's like, yeah, this is good. This is good stuff. No one wants this.
Nobody wants that.
This would be a very awkward wedding.
It would be a very awkward wedding. Is there nobody else that could give Sansa away?
I mean, like, are we really not going to wait for Littlefinger to get back? Are we not, like, can we get Littlefinger to do this?
Yeah, I mean, technically he is her uncle.
Or even Roose Bolton, have Roose do it. Like, I feel like that would seem to be more in line with tradition than to have Reek do it. Do you think that they'll at least shower Reek up? Do you think they'll clean him up, make him look good, make him look nice?
You would hope so.
You would hope so. He was smelling especially ripe tonight.
Yeah. I mean, could Jon Snow come down from the wall?
Yeah. Yeah, well, isn't he? He's closer in relation to Sansa. What is Ramsay just not even acknowledging other bastards now? Is he just so over the bastard thing?
I mean, but there is no blood relation between Sansa and Theon and or Reek.
Exactly. Yeah, Jon would be a better pick, but I guess Jon, he's got his hands full.
He's got his hands full. Okay. So I liked it after the dinner where where Roose Bolton dressed down Ramsay.
Right, but Ramsay's freaked out because Roose has another kid on the way. If it's a son, that could potentially challenge Ramsay's claim in Winterfell. So he's not thrilled about this. He's not liking this, but Roose does a decent job of, like, pumping him back up and being like, look, Stannis Baratheon is on his way. He's coming to take Winterfell back. He's coming to take the North back. This place is ours, bro. This is our Winterfell.
I need you. I don't need you going to Crazy Town right now.
Yeah, you gotta
check out.
Yeah, you gotta stay locked in, man. So I think he does a decent job pumping him up.
He does a good job of pumping him up. All right. Anything else from the episode before we jump into some questions?
No, let's dive in.
Okay, let's dive into questions.
Just try not to touch any stone men as you dive in.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
All right, let's keep going. All right, first question. Jason Burning gets us started. Friends in the North. Who's she talking about? Brienne or someone else?
Yeah, so we asked this. What's your opinion on this? Are you thinking that Brienne has already made those kinds of inroads with the people in the North?
No, I think that their whole thing is the North remembers. I think there's still people there from when the Starks were there. I think that was her whole thing. I don't think that was connected to the Brienne stuff.
Yeah.
Because that lady was already saying that before Brienne even got there.
I wonder what their plan is, though.
I don't know.
If they have an independent plan, what are they thinking?
Okay. What about this question?
All right, this is from Teddy Blue Bear, who writes in, how will Ser Jorah take Dany's engagement? Yeah, he's not going to be happy.
I don't know. I could see him being kind of stone-faced about it.
Oh, Rob. Oh, man. Oh, it's so sad. Do you think that he's like gonna try and interrupt the wedding? Is he gonna object?
Yeah, he's like, all right, stop right there. I'm gonna touch everybody here just when it happens.
Yeah. If you get married to that guy, I am touching literally everybody you care about.
Like, don't make me stop this wedding.
Yeah. Do you think he's like gonna get there? It's gonna be like The Graduate. He's just gonna bang on the glass. Daenerys, Daenerys.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that he's gonna object to this. I don't think he's gonna be happy.
I mean, who's gonna be happy? I think Dario's gonna be really unhappy.
Dario's not gonna love it.
Yeah, I mean, Ser Jorah, maybe he could give Dany away.
Yeah, maybe he could.
Maybe he could.
Barristan would have been good for that. That's a shame that Barristan is no longer here.
Yeah.
That's a good role. That's a good look for Barristan.
All right. The great Zach Brooks says, great episode tonight. The Bolton stuff was gold. When do you think we see Stannis at Winterfell? Okay, so Stannis left for Winterfell in this episode.
Yeah.
So by Game of Thrones math,
That should be next season.
Well, I feel like next week. I feel like next week is the week we don't see any of the Bolton stuff.
I could picture that.
We spent a lot of time there tonight. In the coming attractions, we saw Arya, we saw King's Landing. I feel like next week could be the week where we spend time with Dorne. We spend time, we didn't see any of the Jaime and Bronn stuff tonight. I feel like the next week is the week that we switch back to everything with King's Landing, Littlefinger, Dorne, and everything else that's not in the north.
And so the week after that, would you say we're getting Stannis at Winterfell, or is it going to take longer? Because, I mean, the distance between the Wall and Winterfell is not, super great.
It's interesting. I could see it being sort of like an episode 9 type thing. If it's going to be a big battle, like I feel like they'll wait until the end of the season.
Has to happen this season, though. I mean, we're only 5 episodes in, still 5 to go. We're 50% of the way there, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
This season's flying. We're halfway home.
Halftime.
Halftime, baby. I feel like we got to see Stannis get to Winterfell, within the next 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, I feel like episode 7-ish, 8-ish.
7, 8. I think that sounds about right to me.
Okay, I think definitely not next week.
Are you excited about this, or are you going to miss Stannis on the Wall? I kind of like Stannis on the Wall. I thought that he was great there.
I wish we would have had more closure with Jon Snow and Melisandre.
Yeah. Basically, his final scene.
More Snowsure.
Yeah, more Snowsure. Yeah. Do you think he'll come back for the Stark Mitzvah?
I hope so.
He's gonna read a portion of the Torah. He's gonna come up there.
Sam to read from the Torah.
Yeah. Well, Sam is obviously he's gonna be conducting a lot of this. He's gonna be emceeing the Stark Mitzvah for sure.
Okay.
Rebbe Tarly.
All right, this is from the great Haymaker Hat. He says, how fast do we suppose Grayscale spreads, and could Jorah's luck out like Shireen and beat it?
Yeah, like Michael Jackson. I wonder. Do you think that this is something that Jorah is going to bounce back from, or do you think that we are starting to see the beginning of the end of Jorah Mormont?
He's going to bounce back because we need the Lord of Light to bail out Ser Jorah here.
Really, you think the Lord of Light is going to come in and cast out the Grayscale? Yeah,
we need to get some sort of a red priestess working with Dany, because we saw that the Red Priestess was already excited about Dany, that one that we saw with Tyrion. I feel like we need some sort of, a marriage of somebody from the Lord of Light with Dany.
Interesting. That would be nice. That would be really cool. Who would it be, though? Would it be Thoros of Myr? Would it be Melisandre? Would it be the lady we saw in Volantis?
The lady we saw in Volantis would be nice, but I feel like we left... Maybe... See, the problem here, though, is, we left Varys back there. I'm like, Varys could pick her up, but Varys hates magic. He likes Dany.
Loves Dany.
But the magic likes Dany.
The magic loves Dany. It's tough. Yeah. A real Rafe's choice on this one.
Yeah, very tricky. All right, what about Michelle Jones?
All right, Michelle Jones says, isn't Grayscale super contagious? Couldn't Jorah spread it if he goes to see Dany and Meereen? Yeah, Michelle, we're worried. We are. If we haven't said enough, we're worried about this. This is gnarly.
We need a quarantine for Ser Jorah.
Yeah, I think you got to approach Ser Jorah wearing your hazmat suit. You got to scrub him down. You got to keep him in lockdown. It's like season 3 of 24 all over again.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like the hotel?
Yeah, it's like the hotel. Maybe he will be one of the very few who is immune, as long as his nose doesn't start gushing
He's like
blood.
Michelle.
He's like Michelle Mormont.
Okay.
I'm really happy to be talking about Michelle Dessler right now, by the way.
Kelly Kahn says, so Ramsey is super crazy, like shove your brother's killer in front of you crazy, but I'm almost more worried about Miranda. What's the best case scenario here, and what is the worst?
Yeah, so Kelly brings up a good point. Like, Miranda is terrifying. Rob, are you changing your opinion about Miranda? You weren't that worried about her.
Super dangerous. Best case scenario for me is sort of like I saw this movie once where Jamie Lannister had a bunch of girlfriends, and then they all became like friends behind his back, and then like planned to like do stuff to him. Like that's the best case scenario.
What movie is that?
It's with like Cameron Diaz and Judd Apatow's wife, and then is it Kate Upton is the third girl?
I don't know. I don't know this movie.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I haven't seen this one. I want it now.
What it's called. Tell me in the chat room what it's called. If Jamie Lannister is the guy.
Or is this just a hallucination you're having, Rob, from too many hours of
No, I watched it on a plane. It on a plane.
Right, yeah.
And they all were like, what? He said this to you? What? And they're all like trading, like he's like texting them, and he's like on the phone with one of them. Somebody's got to know what I'm talking about.
Somebody please help.
That's the best case scenario, where they become best friends.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. That would be great. Worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario is that she's going to kill Sansa.
Oh, God.
I don't think that'll happen, though.
But which is likelier? The best case scenario where they become BFFs, AE, or that she's going to kill Sansa? Which is likelier to happen?
She's going to kill Sansa is more likely.
That's horrible.
Yeah, The Other Woman, I think, is the name of this movie.
The Other Woman. That's the name of an episode of Lost.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe you didn't have to like review this for MTV or anything.
No, The Other Woman. Now I'm looking. Oh, I remember this one.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't think I've seen it, but I recall its existence.
With Jamie Lannister, too.
Yeah, I did. He plays a guy named Mark King.
Yes,
he's married to Judd Apatow's wife, it seems.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, but I'm very worried about Sansa for this.
Yeah, and it is Kate Upton. You're right.
Yeah.
So you're not crazy. That's great.
Yeah.
This is good news, Rob.
Yeah. And she knows Troyzan. There's so many connections here.
Yeah. Wait, really?
Who, Kate Upton?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Let's get this from It's Really. It's really wants us to get back on track here. So It's Really writes, what was the doom that Tyrion mentioned? Another word for grayscale or something else entirely? So the doom refers to the Doom of Valyria. Valyria, basically getting destroyed essentially in the blink of an eye. And nobody knows what exactly the doom was. They're kind of describing it. They're talking about it, Jorah and Tyrion. I feel like they're both quoting like the same source material. And they're talking about how there's like lots of ash in the sky and things like that. So I think one of the popular theories is it has something to do with volcanic activity, but the exact nature of the doom is murky. No one really knows.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's bad stuff. Bad stuff.
Murky. Do we have any reason to believe the doom will strike again?
Well, I feel like a Doom-level event seems to be happening in the world of Ice and Fire. We're seeing, the White Walkers emerging north of the Wall. Who knows what could be happening here in the East, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, it seems like bad stuff is happening. If not quite Doom-level stuff, then certainly getting close.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, indeed. All right, this is from Lauren Garcia. If Jorah Mormont knew there were people with grayscale on Valyria, then why did he risk going there? I would rather take my chances with the pirates. I might survive that better. Do you agree with Lauren, Rob?
Yeah, especially when the pirates we've seen in Game of Thrones have been very fun.
Yeah, like Salladhor Saan. He was great.
Very fun and nice characters.
Yeah, more Salladhor Saan, please. Let's get some of that going on here.
This seems like a very bad idea by Jorah Mormont. I don't get it.
I don't think anyone's ever going to accuse Jorah Mormont of being like one of the top 10 smartest people in Game of Thrones.
But he would be probably ranking ahead of Sir Barristan on the, Game of Thrones overall power rankings.
Like the beloved characters?
Beloved characters power rankings. Not beloved characters, but more important characters to the show.
Oh, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about importance.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Jorah is obviously more important. He's alive for now.
Well, if we would have started at the beginning of the season, Ser Jorah was ahead of Sir Barristan on the power
totally.
rankings.
He's OG. He's day one player. He was with Dany from the beginning, and now he's gone, and now he wants to come back to her. So I think Ser Jorah is a BFD for sure. A BFD on GOT.
He's probably like closer to the 15 to 20.
I feel like he's cracked top 20.
He's cracked the top 20, bottom of the top 20.
He's bottom of the top 20, but I feel like he's cracked top 20.
Okay, it would be very interesting, I think, to make that list and try to figure out who is where. Maybe at the end of the season, maybe going into season 6.
I think so. That's our new road.
And we'll
to
say,
Westeros.
that was and we'll only be upset if a top 20 character dies.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Our Philly says, what were we supposed to think about Dany literally feeding live humans to Visceron and Rhaegal?
Yeah, is she going full Targaryen? I mean, this is kind of the Targaryen craziness starting to come out in Dany a little bit. Not that we haven't seen it before. I feel like her whole plan to get the Unsullied and turn the dragons on the Masters was pretty out there as well. So we've seen this type of thing from Dany before, but it is more of the Mad King Viserys playbook to just feed people to a dragon. Doesn't necessarily seem like something you would expect out of Dany, but Dany does this no problem. Should we be worried about it? No, this is the most baller thing Dany has done all season. I love what she did. I thought this was great.
And then she says also, I was going to feed you to the dragons. Instead of that, I'm going to marry you.
Yeah, I'm going to marry you instead. And then Hizdar Zalorak was like, this is great news.
Yes.
For so many reasons, this is fantastic.
It's much better than getting fed to the dragons.
Yeah, who had the best night on Game of Thrones? Did he have the best night? I mean, to find out that he's not getting fed to dragons after having seen somebody he knows get fed to dragons, and then B, finding out that he is going to get married to the most beautiful woman on the planet.
Better night than Sam?
Yeah, I think a better night than Sam.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think he may have had the best night.
He's gonna get the fishy tonight.
Yeah, I think he gets the fishy.
Okay. Let's go a couple more questions. The Muffin That Sucks says, wondering if Rob had any flashbacks to his old neighbor when Ramsay and Miranda were going out in front of the window.
What does this mean? This seems like
I used to have a neighbor who used to often be naked. Yeah.
How was that? Was that great?
Well, no, it was fine, but she probably looked. She was probably more of a Walda Bolton than Miranda Bolton. Yes, I know her real name. I know her last name's not Bolton.
Yeah. She was a real Walda Frey, huh? Well, that would be fine. I'm down with
Closer
that.
to a Walda Frey.
Hey, look, my position on this is rather clear, I think. Any and all nudity is fantastic. I'm taking it all.
Oh, wow.
I'm in on all of it. Let's just let's see it. Let's see it all, get it out in the open.
Wow.
I would be in on this. I'd be in on your. This sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah. Keeps life exciting, Rob.
All right. So
Keeps us all honest.
We'll talk about that with Max Dawson.
What did you think of Ramsay and Miranda's posteriors?
Nice.
Pretty good, right? They're good.
I mean, Ramsay. I probably have to go back to the season 3 stuff, but that guy looks like he's more jacked now than in season 3.
Yeah, he's been working out.
Been working out, getting ready for that. He got this. He must have read the books, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta get naked in that scene."
Well, he's on the wedding diet, maybe. He's trying to look really good for the wedding, which is the exact opposite of what I did for mine, by the way. Stress eating. Hello.
Wow.
Hello. All right. This is a question from Purdue 0999. Do you think Dany is going to resolve the conflicts in Meereen with this marriage? Would it be better to marry a noble in Westeros? I guess I'm more interested because we've talked about this. We think that this is going to still be a little more complicated than just marrying this doofus and healing all of the pain that's going on in Meereen. The more interesting aspect of that question is, so she's marrying this noble from Meereen. If she wants to sit on the Iron Throne, you would think that she'd probably want to save herself for someone in the Seven Kingdoms, right?
Right. I mean, is it the same sort of thing where we could do they get married, but then they never consummate the marriage, and it's it didn't count?
That's boring.
Yeah.
Lame
Really,
marriage.
what is that? Yeah, I mean, maybe the marriage to this guy won't be recognized in Westeros.
Yeah, perhaps. Maybe. I mean, the Targaryens have had like multiple brides before, so maybe that's what she's gonna do. She's gonna have multiple husbands.
Or maybe she could just marry him and like, oh, my dragon ate him.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
no! What are you gonna do?
Oh no, now I
That sucks.
get to marry somebody else.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do one last question, Josh.
All right.
Bring us home.
All right, Natalie in Chicago. What were the Stone Men trying to do? Just straight up kill them, or just infect them? And
They're just crazy, right?
Yeah, I think they're just Looney Tunes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that they're like, hey, I actually think what the Stone Men like to do. This isn't a joke. I think Stone Men just like to like get their germs on you and turn you into a Stone Man.
They're lonely.
They're lonely, so lonely.
Viral marketing.
Is that's viral marketing?
Yes.
To spread grayscale and spread grayscale awareness that way?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's do one last question from our Philly.
Okay.
Do we
Our
think-
Philly.
Do we think Stannis' choice to bring his wife and daughter on the march to war will backfire horribly, or what?
What do you think? Are we going to see bad things happen to his wife Selyse and his daughter Shireen, or do you think that they are going to be okay?
Josh, this is Game of Thrones.
Yes.
What do you think?
It's probably not good.
Yeah, but also you got to keep them with Stannis. Otherwise, you couldn't have any more storyline with them if you didn't keep bringing them. So hopefully.
But Shireen was having such a good time with Sam and Gilly.
Mm-hmm.
She was working out really well there.
I hope it's gonna work out.
I hope so too.
I'm
nervous. I'm
I
nervous.
like Shireen. I like all the Shireens.
Shireen's been through enough.
Shireens have had a tough year.
It's been a really hard year for Shireen. Can we at least keep, death and war out of it? That would be nice.
Shireens have been through a lot. Hopefully, there's no more, hardcore emotional issues that will happen to Shireen.
Yeah, Shireen has been through a lot. Seems to be at a moment of potential redemption, which is great. Good things could happen to Shireen soon, so let's keep it that way.
Okay. All right, Josh. All right, we are done with half of the season of Game of Thrones.
Wow, what do you think of the season so far? 50% of the way through. You liking it?
I think it's been good. I think if I had to, what's the defining moment of season 5 of Game of Thrones so far?
We haven't had a Joffrey chokes to death at his wedding moment yet. We haven't had a purple wedding type of situation yet. Barristan the Bull dying, that's very sad. He is no Joffrey Baratheon. And, he's no Robb Stark either. It's sad, but it's not cataclysmic. It's not anything like that. So I think we're still waiting for a big moment like that.
I think it's been very good. I don't think we've had an iconic moment yet here in the first 5 episodes of Game of Thrones season 5.
Yeah, I don't think that that's unfair.
Yes.
So we'll see. We'll see where we go, and we'll see if we'll get one of those.
Have we had a top 10 series moment here?
Top 10 series.
Have we had a top 10 series moment here in the first half of season 5?
Oh, I mean, for me, I really did like when Jon Snow cut off Janos Slynt's head. That was amazing.
That's a top 10 series moment?
It's in the running for me. It was really, really terrific.
Okay.
It was good.
I don't know about that.
That'd be the only thing that competes.
I don't know about that.
All right, Rob. Well, what's yours, man? We'll have to list out your top 10.
If we were going to list the top 10 series moment, I don't think we've seen it yet here through 5 episodes of season 5.
All right. Well, we'll wait. We'll wait and see if it comes up. That'd be great.
Okay. All right. Looking forward to hearing from you guys in the comments. Josh and I are going to be back with voicemails later on this week.
Yeah, send those in, postshowrecaps.com/voicemail. The voicemails this past week with Antonio Mazzaro were a lot of fun, so keep that up. And if you want to just send in written...
And great job on the voicemails with Antonio this week. I got a chance to listen this morning. I got my little fingers, and I'm ready to go.
Is that right? No, Antonio Mazzaro is the best human being on the planet, and we really ought to get him involved in Game of Thrones podcasting more, so I think maybe that's something we can do.
All right.
But yeah, send in your written questions too if you don't want to leave us a voicemail. GOT@postshowrecaps.com is the way to do that.
You working on anything else this week on the post-show recaps?
There's always irons in the fire. Always irons in the fire. Lots of Game of Thrones right this second, though. Mostly Game of Thrones coverage this week for me.
All right. Well, Josh, great stuff tonight. Looking forward to talking more Game of Thrones with you later on this week. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast at postshowrecaps.com/GOT iTunes, and so much more on the way. Looking forward to the back half of season 5 of Game
What
of
do you
Thrones.
think? What do you think for hashtag tonight, Rob? Are we just
hashtag-
easy,
oh, yeah,
right?
that was-
Very easy. Hashtag Stark Mitzvah.
Stark Mitzvah, yeah. I had Gray Sunday, Pillars and Cones.
I heard Worm Sunday from some people.
Worm Sunday. Yeah. All right, but
I think it's let's celebrate Stark Mitzvah.
yes. Okay. Mazel tov to everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.
Take care.